Welcome to my show. I'm a guest here. Her name is Cheryl Wilson. Mr. Cheryl, how are you doing, ma?
I'm fine. Thank you for inviting me to be on your show.
And also, thank you so much for the time and the opportunity, Mr. Cheryl. Firstly, you are an educator. You are also a learning coach, and you are known as the child whisperer. Can you please, Mrs. Cheryl, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, Mrs. Cheryl?
Well, I'll begin with the child whisperer. I've been in education for over 28 years. I was driven to education because I witnessed a child as young as 4 years old, her feelings about herself. I was talking to her and saying, I told these group of students I was working with, say a teacher loves me because I'm special. And at 4 years old, she says, I know special. And then I said, oh, yes, you are. You've got those pretty bows in your hair. She says, I know pretty. And that's what prompted me to be a teacher. As a teacher, it wasn't just teaching the curriculum, but it was teaching students how to be human beings. And as a matter of fact, one of my former students, who's like 30 years old, posted on my Facebook that I taught them about life. And that's what my goal has been for 28 years. My students also don't not only learned the curriculum and how to write and read and do mathematics, but they also did community service work. So that helps them become members of a society that cares about others. And that's why I call myself the child whisperer, because I was able to connect with them. And my passion for the rest of my life, I'll be working with children.
Beautiful, beautiful. That shows that teaching work goes beyond just teaching children. It also deals with the emotional support. It also deals with the support we give to them. And it also deals with the way we actually engage, speak, and show them that we're part of them. Those things also count as a teacher. And as a person who has been in the industry for more than 20 years, have you written any book or are you planning to write any book in the coming future, Mrs. Sher?
Well, I did write a book, and that book was mostly about my journey as a principal. And the title is When Decisions Disrupt Your Sleep. And by that I mean I made decisions as a principal in terms of suspending children or in terms of sending or referring children to child protective services. And those decisions can have a really devastating effect on children. So I was looking at the decisions I made, my biases, my assumptions, what I would need to do differently. And most important, it's about every child, every adult, every person should reflect on their lives, reflect on the decisions they make, reflect on how you talk to your child, reflect on how you interact with your coworkers and your family. If you never reflect, then you don't have an opportunity to think about what you would do differently and to try to become better. Once you know what to do, you need to do what you know what to do. And so my book is about my journey as a principal. And because I just happened to receive a note from a former student who's, gosh, she's in her 30s or maybe 40s, and she wrote that where she works, the group had gotten around in a circle and they decided about what teacher impacted her. And she wrote on a messenger just talking about how much she appreciated me and how much, well, I can't remember the exact words, but how loving and caring I was a teacher. So I think just from getting that note today, I have several notes like that. I will probably know to write another book to encourage teachers, to encourage them to see that this is a caring profession. And regardless of what's going on with artificial intelligence, you still can change lives by connecting with students as human beings. The same thing as parents connecting with their children as human beings. So, we'll see.
Yes, and I also want to thank you for the great work you've done for kids. That shows the kind of humanity you have as a person who has impacted the children, who has shown love, and also give the sense of communion to the children. And giving that into your book also as the life you've been as a principal during that time, and also writing something that could also inspire those teachers that are coming because technology is really growing rapidly. And we can also give the sense that there is always humanity when we show love and care to one another. And also, I would like to drive to the point of parents who love their children deeply. They really love their children, they show the compassion, but they really struggle to know how they could try their best to express this love they have for their child. What do you think are some of the simplest everyday ways parents can show love that truly lands for a child, Mrs. Sher?
So when you said they want to know how they can express their love for their child,
Yes.
when I talk about reflection, I believe that they need to reflect on how love that they received or love that they didn't receive. It's hard to do something or to learn something that you've never done before. So to reflect love for your child, thinking about what is the love that you needed when you were a child, or maybe you didn't get, or maybe you were loved. So, how do you, being the parent who's your child's first teacher, how do you convey that love and that care and that respect that maybe you got or you didn't got, that you didn't receive, so that when you are interacting with your child and you're watching them as they grow up to become the adult for their future self, that everything that you do, even though they can make you frustrated and angry, everything that you do, that they see through your touch, through your tone, through how you respect them, your words, they can see it comes from love and not blame and not judgment. In short, it's what you say and do is it's what you do, not what you say, that they're watching. And so you have to really reflect when they make a mistake or they spill something. You may want to react with anger. You may want to react the way your parents reacted, but you need to take a breath. You need to take a moment and try to help them understand that this is what you need to do differently. And it's not going to happen overnight that they'll correct themselves, but they know through your tone, they know through your patience, they know that it's important to be calm when you get frustrated. That is what they will see, and that is what they will learn. They learn by seeing what you do. They don't learn by hearing what you say. So again, no blame, no judgment, taking a moment to stop before you react with anger. And as some people say, tasting your words, meaning the words that you use to help them correct themselves or to help them make a different choice, those words and your actions are what are going to stick in their heart and their mind and become and help them become the person that you know for their future self that they can become.
Thank you so much. It goes back to we knowing how we can actually give the sense of communication with our kids. Our kids are very fragile and they are very emotional. Giving the space and giving the break to know how we can step discussions down for them is one of the greatest tools a parent can have. Despite being maybe probably we have a really huge traumatic experience, we have a huge issue, or sometimes you might feel stressed, which could make us react more way that we do not want to. But despite those situations, we should try our best to know how we can take that break and know how to give that sense of communication and communion with the child that we have. Those things really count, and it's really build the child to become in a way that we could also express ourselves, and the child will be in a position whereby he or she will be able to express his or herself more better. And I also like to drive to the point of mistake, because parents in this life definitely will always face mistake. It says from the mistake we learn and we grow. But from the experience you've had for more than 20 years, what do you think are some of the common mistakes parents make when talking to their children, often without realizing it? And how do you think they can shift to more supportive language, Mrs. Sher?
I think that what I want parents to take away is when you are with your own parents, or you are with your siblings, or you are at work and you make a mistake, I want you to think about how you would like that person to talk to you. You're being evaluated, or again, your mother says something that that you don't like. How do you want to hear words, or how will words that you hear change your behavior? And words such as, what's wrong with you? Why did you do that? I told you that you shouldn't have done that. Or even in terms of, relationships with brothers and sisters or aunts and uncles. You're always doing that. What's wrong with you? Can't you do better? I knew you were going to do that. All of those words cause you to have what we call there's such thing as a growth mindset, meaning that I can overcome, meaning I made a mistake and it doesn't define who I am. Mistakes help me grow, or teaching people that the mistakes you make are because of your character. You're no good. You're just like your aunt. You're just like your dad. You're never going to be any good. And so you fix in their minds that they don't have any self-worth. And so I want parents to think about the same way you want to be reprimanded or you want to be corrected when you make a mistake is the same way that your child needs to hear when they make a mistake. And I know it's hard. I mean, I work with a young boy who his mom can't be present and he has attention deficit disorder, which means it's really hard for him to focus. And I'm honest with you, it takes all of my patience when he comes back to work with me and we have worked maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours on a homework assignment and he hasn't turned it in. Do you know how frustrating that is for me? And so,
Yes.
what I really trying to calmly ask him, I said, okay, we're going to take a few minutes. I want you to sit down and think about, I want you to write about what you need to do differently because you need to make better choices. So we're going to work through this and find out what needs to happen. So again, I want parents to be able to try to talk to their children or talk to any adult the same way with respect and care that you would want. And I want parents to give their children or to more likely be aware that this young boy, he didn't want to come back and work with me and feel disappointed, or he didn't come in, or children don't wake up and you don't wake up thinking, how am I going to make this world a horrible place? What am I going to do to make somebody's whole life be upset? No, they make mistakes and we learn from mistakes, but it's the time, the moment, that the reflection, the thinking about, writing about, re-going over your words again. What do I need to do different? How could I have handled this in a better way? So the takeaway, it's hard. Even as a principal, I wrote in my book that I made mistakes. I got angry at a teacher who did something that was kind of totally illegal, and I got angry, and I had to tell myself, I do the same thing the kids do. When they have a fight on the yard, and I say, we've gone over this, and the kid says, well, I know what I'm supposed to do, but I can't do it when I get angry. And I get that. So you as parents, yeah, they are going to cause your blood pressure to raise, your feelings, your guts, your throats, and you're going to say, I'm spending all this money to make this child have a great life, but it's for the long haul. As their teacher and you as the adult, to stop, take a breath. And I know it's hard. Or when they come in and they've done something that's really upsetting, put on some music, dance with your child, make the stress go down. The cognitive stress, how they're feeling, their emotional stress, try to make it go down, make it go down for you. And now let's have a conversation. So like I said, I know it's hard. I know they disappoint you. I know that you're doing the best you can. Doing the best you can is doing the best for yourself. The pain that you feel about them not being able to achieve, they feel it 200% more. So, to ease your pain and to ease their pain, as much patience, and you're taking care of yourself too, as much patience and being able to stop and to be able to be calm and to give words that say, yes, you did that. I will love you for the rest of your life. This is what I want for you, your future self. Let's talk. Think about what choices you want. Think about what kind of life you want. And if you think about what kind of life you want, I will do everything I can to support you. You made a mistake. We're going to think about what better choices you can make and understand mistakes help you grow, but you have to grow with them and always continue to believe in yourself the way that I believe in you. That's the long story, but anyway.
Thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate the beautiful insight. It is not easy. to parents. It is not easy to take care of kids, but we have to know how we can control ourselves as parents. We have to also try our best to know how we can try our best to give the sense of communication, because what we say sometimes we do not know out of the arrogance, as you've said. What are you doing there? Stuff like that. We have to try our best to think. How do I think I need to, feel? How will I feel if I talk to myself? Or how will I feel if someone speak to me this way? We have to try our best to use ourselves as a sense of reflection. When we build the sense of reflection in us, when we want to give the reaction to our kids, we think twice. We try our best to be in a position whereby I think if I am like this child, I will want to be spoken to this way. Then we can give that sense of communication with that kid that way. We sit them down and we'll talk to them and we show them. Let us always show them that we love them and we will always support them despite what they are doing is actually right. And also, we have to try our best also as parents to continue to do the great work and continue to build what we know we can do to make the world a better place for our kids and also the world as large. I would also like to drive to the point of parents because the feeling entrusted and also stretched thin. Because parents, most of the time, they usually feel guilty, while still being present for their children. So parents are often exhausted and stretched thin. How do you think they can care for themselves without feeling guilty while still being present for their children, Mrs. Sher?
So that's really important because some parents may feel that their parents didn't give them enough attention, and so they're going to spend all of their working hours signing their child up for this or taking their child to do that or constantly worrying about what they need to do differently. What I would recommend is that I know they have the term self care. However, parents need away time. Parents, if you can have your good friends or if you have, whether sharing your child care responsibilities, if you happen to have, a wife or a husband, that you schedule time for yourself, whether it is 15 minutes, whether it is this is our routine, which is something parents need to be very aware of, that children need that stability and routine. At this time, whether it's 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, whatever, this is my time. Whether I want to read a book, whether I want to listen to music, whether I just want to take a nap, but you have to schedule time for yourself. There is no way that you can respond appropriately to mistakes or to things that cause you to have to go to school because your child did something wrong. There's no way for you to respond in a way that shows care and compassion if you're always stressed. So, on a whether it's a daily basis, a weekly basis, I encourage you to write down, have a commitment with your child, your family, whomever. This is whether it's our family time, and now child can go over there for their time. This is my time. This is my spouse or whatever's time. But you have to schedule it, because if you don't schedule it, it's not going to happen. And so just really understanding that you are a human being and you deserve to be as happy as you're trying to make your child. But that's not going to happen if you don't prioritize it and get your calendar out and look at your weekly schedule and put yourself in there. Now, I know maybe people are working, two jobs. Even if you're working two jobs, then it's an agreement with your family, your spouse, your child. I'm doing all of this work. I'm doing the best I can. In between there, this is the time that I am committing to taking care of myself so I can take better care of you. And all of you also have that time so we can take better care of each other. But that has to be, I believe, an agreement, and it has to be something that you calendar. And again, I'm fortunate, I'm like a advocate for this 12-year-old boy. And I am also trying to run a business. And so when I've had to spend a lot of hours with him catching up on his homework, I can feel the stress in myself. And I explained to him This is what we need to do differently because I am feeling anxious. And so, for me to recognize my feelings, helping him also recognize his feelings, because it's like pulling teeth to get him to understand or to get him to talk about what's going in school so that I can show that I'm a human being. This is what I need. This is how I get my needs met. And this is what I want you to understand. How do you get your needs met? And also, how do you advocate for yourself, which is something that he struggles with. He won't ask for help at school, and he's become too dependent on me or someone else to sit beside him. So, again, in short, you have to make yourself a priority because, like some person I've heard, a person in the relationship, and the guy was saying, this woman said, I'm going to jump out of the car. And he said, if you don't love yourself, you certainly can't love me. And so, loving yourself, the more you love yourself in a way that's compassionate and sharing and caring, the more your child will see that and experience that. But you have to prioritize yourself with your calendar and your family and help your child understand that they also need those moments of quiet away from technology, a moment to keep a journal. As a matter of fact, if you have time, you can keep a gratitude journal. This is what I'm thankful for. Some people do that before they go to bed so they can get all that noise out of their head. But again, prioritize it, self care for you, care for your family. It's an agreement. This is what we do. So we can always show compassion and love for one another.
Mr. Shell, I want to honestly thank you for this discussion. It is very, very powerful and 100% insightful. As parents, we always have to try our best to, find time for ourselves to give the sense of relaxation. It is not easy. Most especially those who are having to go to work, do everything they have to do, and also come back to give the sense of attention, care, and love for their kids. We just need to try our best to know how we can balance the two and also know how we can be in a position whereby we are not feeling, feeling too guilty, we're still being with our children. We are not feeling it has to go back to agreements within the family. It has to go back to scheduling. Giving, and that is why it's very great to schedule, having time for things. When we have time for things, it makes our job more easier. It makes things go even more faster for us. And it also makes us to be in the right time at the right moment. These are things that we can try our best to adopt, groom, and also try our best to build in ourselves. And if we can do that, we can also know how we can be more cautious, be more careful in the way we speak to our kids and in the way we want to make our kids to come out in the future because the kids are tomorrow. A parent is very happy if they see their kids doing well out there, and that is the beauty and that is the joy of a parent. And also, Mrs. Chair, there is a question I normally ask during the end of the show, Mrs. Cher. From our forefathers, from our ancestors, there are a lot of beautiful things that do exist during our ancestral time that is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, Mrs. Cher, what do you think that thing will be, Mrs. Cher?
Love our ancestors. I think that when I think about our ancestors, I think that they would say, we struggled, but we always knew that there was a better way. Our ancestors would say, the way that you start, whether you're poor, whether you have a lot of money, no matter where you live, doesn't have to be the way you end. We come from ancestors who never had education,
Yeah.
but your parent, I didn't have it, but that doesn't mean that you won't have it. Our ancestors had a sense of hope, whether you have hope because of religion or hope in God, but they knew, they struggled, they made sure that there was always going to be another way. So the idea of preparing for your future self is what they embedded in us. They are embedded, excuse me, that again, there's a poem that says, life doesn't throw you. I can't Langston Hughes poem that you may not have everything that you need now, but you have enough in terms of your ancestors or your grandparents. You have enough in you to keep going. You have enough to know that life can be better, but it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be hard, and there's no way you can get there without planning for your future. And that's one thing when I talked about a calendar, what that means also in terms of structure for children. I talk about things in terms of executive functioning. It's not just caring for your child and making sure that you're kind, but that schedule, I encourage every parent to have a schedule because your child, especially when they get to middle school, having a schedule, having an alarm clock, knowing that you have a homework time, knowing this is dinner time, knowing what it takes to prepare for holidays, all of those skills are skills, life skills that their parents need to transfer because this is preparing for their future selves. Our relatives, our ancestors helped us prepare for our future selves because they had such a strong belief that things could be better and they never gave up. Like I said, the way you start, you may not have anything. You may have grown up in an orphanage, but that doesn't mean that's the way you're going to end. And that, again, for parents, really implanting in their child's mind that, yes, it's hard, but the world is your oyster. We're going to make sure that you can see and plan as many ways that you can become the person you are meant to be with no regrets, just like some parents, no regrets, because I have done everything
Mm.
I can to be the best compassionate person I am. So like again, I forgot, but that's I really want them to understand. It's not just, it's structure in your lives as well. You can be compassionate and caring, but you have no structure, or you're bumping through life. You're going this, you have what you need over here. You don't have what you need over there. You got constant frustrations. It takes a lot of structure and planning and routines, especially what you want for kids.
I sincerely appreciate the insights. Honestly speaking, we are in a world whereby if we put efforts, despite the challenges or despite the background we have, it doesn't define how our tomorrow will be. And that also gives us the sense that no matter who we meet in life, we should not try our best to look down or see people as not one because some people have their values and they are trying their best to see what they can do in the society they find themselves. In the next 5, 10 years, we do not know how it will be because nobody imagined some great people will have today and they are there today. Why? Because they have this kind of value. No matter the background, no matter how what's all the background or whether we're an orphanage or we're broke or stuff like that, so far we are doing what we feel like it weighs the value and it weighs the worth. The future is always there for standing for us and always trying at its best to actually give us the grace and also the gifts that we deserve. Also, Mrs. Laura, I want Chair, rather, I want to use this opportunity to thank you for the time and the opportunity. These are the things parents need to understand. We live in a life whereby kids are now exposed to technology. Kids are exposed to a lot of things today, and in fact, the parent need so they have a lot of work to do this time, and this is the time we have to show more care and companion to them, so they'll be able to open up, so they'll be able to speak up, and not be in a position whereby they keep things from us. It won't help us at all. I want to thank you for the time. Thank you so much, Mrs. Chair.
Okay, great.
Have a wonderful day, Mrs. Chair. Bye bye.
Okay, take care. Bye bye.